If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see what is up. I am sporting the stars and stripes today, girl. Big, big reason. I know this episode's dropping on Monday, but today is the day before the 4th of July, and that's tomorrow because I do my recordings on Thursday. So it's kind of like in retrospect. But anyway, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating the 4th of July. I'm celebrating Rockstar freedom and Rockstars. You know what I mean when I say that. It's the freedom, right? To enjoy our food, to enjoy life, to not feel restricted, to not feel like we have to follow all these rules, but that we are creating a life, a healthy, fit lifestyle for ourselves that is freeing. So there's that. But then here's a very big thing. This is a big, big deal. And I don't tend to make big deals. And I'm not going to do anything fancy about it, but I am going to make this announcement here if you don't know this yet. The 4th of July, this 4th of July, 2025 marks the third anniversary of Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar. So we've been here together on this podcast for 3 years already. It's like, I can't believe how fast. I really can't. I mean, I know we say that all the time, but truthfully, it's hard to believe that already 3 years have gone by. And I've learned so very much. And I just want to thank you, all of you who have been my loyal, dedicated listeners. We've done this together. You've been there by my side. You've been here every week with me. And I just want to say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for listening, like just loyally. And thank you for being here as I have grown, right? Because anytime we take on something new and we do something over time, right? Time, we just get better and we grow and all that. And you've been here since the beginning. So if you have, so much has changed, right? And so I feel like I've gotten better, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on this road with me, with coming along this journey with me, and let's celebrate. So celebrate good times. Come on. All right. So today we're going to get into this. This is what we're going to talk about today. What if I told you there's no real secret to fat loss? There's no magic diet. There's no magic, wait for it, eating window. What if it's been right in front of us all along? And you know it has, because it's not what we do it's not like fasting for hours that is the answer to our fat loss, our weight loss solution. And I'm going to talk about this today because stay with me, because today we're going to be busting the myth of intermittent fasting, and we're going to be uncovering the truth behind all of the hype. And I know this hype isn't new. It's been here for a little bit, but I was inspired by one of our Rockstar members at our last group coaching call this past Monday. This was brought up. This topic was brought up. We discussed it, and I thought, you know what, this is a great topic, and I think a lot of women need to hear the truth and the facts. And so, if that's something you've been considering, if you think that possibly intermittent fasting or fasting is the magic key to your fat loss, and I'm just going to use weight loss, fat loss interchangeably, but you know they're not the same. Weight loss is not the same as fat loss, right? Because weight loss is all weight, which could include muscle mass. But what we tend to talk about, or what I tend to talk about more importantly, is fat loss, because we want to be lean, but we don't want to lose our muscle mass. But anyway, okay, why has this idea, this concept of fasting, intermittent fasting, gained so much popularity? I want to clear up the confusion, and I want to help you. I'm not going to take any sides here. I'm going to present all of the facts, all of the evidence, and then I want you to decide if it's right for you. So let's dive in. So what is it? Let's talk about what intermittent fasting is. Like, we just got to, let's put a definition out here, somewhat of a definition. It's very simple. It's not complicated. Basically, intermittent fasting is a structured eating. It's a structured eating pattern, like 16 to 8 method, which means for 16 hours you're fasting, and for 8 hours you have a window where you are eating. You're eating within that 8 hours, not the entire time. And then it's not a diet. It's just a timing system for eating. And it's popular because people tend to think that this intermittent fasting is like the shortcut to fat loss. And you know how I always talk about we got to stop it with the shortcuts and the quick fixes and all of the trendy things. This is also a trendy thing. But let's talk about what does science say about intermittent fasting. I'm just going to, and by the way, this is going to be a pretty quick and dirty, pretty quick and clean episode because there's not a lot to go into as far as I'm concerned. I like to keep things simple. And so let us talk about what does the research say, right? It's important to, instead of just listening to everything, all the nonsense out there, all the stuff that people are saying, how about we get a little bit information, some information from some real and some legitimate studies. Okay. So I have two studies here that I want to kind of cover real quick here. The first study was done, it was the New England Journal of Medicine, and they took 90 adults. There were 45 men and 45 women, ages 30 to 65, comparing time restricted eating and calorie restriction. And the results? Ding, ding, ding. They were similar fat loss and weight loss reduction in both groups. And then in the second study, we have here the Nutrients. It's another journal, in 2024. They had 1,000 participants ages 20 to 70, and no significance in fat loss between intermittent fasting and regular eating. So, what's the main takeaway here? It's that fat loss depends more on the total calorie intake than when you eat. So the question becomes, why does this work for some people? Because let's be honest, I know that it does. And I've had people ask me this question numerous times. What do you think about intermittent fasting? And I will tell you that everything here that I'm sharing with you, this is what I think. I think, what are the facts? And so why does it work? Why does it seem to work for some people? Well, because for many people, it just simply helps them control their calorie intake. It's that simple. So if you only have 8 hours of a window to eat, then you might end up eating fewer calories without even trying, right? Because you don't have as many hours to eat. I mean, think about this. I kind of think about this myself. Like when I have, let's say I know by 6 p.m., not always, because most days I will eat throughout the day, even up until the time I'm getting ready to go to bed. But I know that when I have eaten all of my calories for the day, and I kind of know when that is, if I have eaten all of my calories earlier in the day, like let's just say 4 or 5 o'clock, there's several hours before I go to bed, I will think to myself, wow, I've got 4 to 5 hours that I'm not going to be eating. And I'm probably not going to be hungry. So I have to be mindful during that time. Like you've already had all your calories, but you see how I have extra hours in the day. So when we have extra time in this window, then we're going to be more likely to eat more. So naturally, if you have fewer hours that you are giving yourself to eat in that window of time, then naturally you're going to be taking in less calories, right? But let's be clear, because this isn't magic. It's just a tool. It's just a tool to help you manage your eating window. And so it's the same principle as eating smaller meals throughout your day and maintaining a calorie deficit. It's the same. It's all the same. So if you're eating fewer calories than you burn, right, then you're going to lose fat, weight, whatever you want to call it. But yeah. And so let's talk about this from a psychological aspect as to why this works for some people. For some people, having fewer meals means fewer decisions. And with fewer decisions, well, then they find it's just easier to stick with. But this doesn't work for everyone. And it's important to be honest with yourself about what the structure feels like for you. Is it freeing for you? Does it feel freeing? Or does it feel restrictive? I told you this was going to be pretty simple. And like I say, I keep things very simple, but it's true. It's really just about an eating window. Now, I know there's other science to suggest that this is something healthy for your digestion, for your absorption, for what's happening with your body. And I'm not going to get into all of that because truthfully, we don't need to get into the weeds about this kind of stuff. It's not important. Why does it matter when all we really need to know is that intermittent fasting is just a tool for controlling your timed eating when you eat? So the question becomes, is this something that you can stick with? Because a lot of times I will hear a woman, a client or potential client say, I'm just going to do intermittent fasting. I think this is what I need. And the question I always want to present to myself, to anybody who wants to do it, is this going to be sustainable? Because certainly if you wanted to control your feeding windows with intermittent fasting, and it actually works for you, works as in you do lose fat, you do lose weight during that time period that you do intermittent fasting, whether it be 3 months, 6 months, a year, what happens at the end of that time period? The question is it sustainable? Can you stick it out? Is this going to be a lifestyle, right? Because any kind of a diet that you choose, we really need to be doing things that are going to be the same when we decide we're going into maintenance. Even myself or any of our Rockstar clients, what we do in Rock That Fitness is we are learning to eat in a way that is going to be sustainable for life. You're going to be able to maintain this. The only difference between the foods that we're eating during a calorie deficit time when we're trying to lose fat and shed fat, and the time when we're going into maintenance and we're not trying to lose weight, we're just trying to maintain, the only difference when it comes to food and the way that we're eating is simply increasing calories, increasing the types of increasing how much food you're eating, not any kind of special way that you got there. So that's why it's important to ask yourself this question. If you choose to do intermittent fasting as a way to lose weight, the question becomes, can you stick with it? Is this going to be a long-term solution for you? Now, the big question, like that is the big question. So this is a big factor to consider, okay? Because you may try this for a few weeks, but what happens when the novelty wears out, right? What happens? Now what? You're back to busy life, intermittent fasting, you were getting some results, but now you're not because you're not doing that. There's some potential challenges here. Hunger, social situations. Can we get into that? And family meals can make it tough. And so it can make it tough to maintain this fasting schedule without feeling miserable, feeling like you're missing out in social occasions. Because just like any kind of, you try to get onto a program, any kind of program you're trying to do, a diet, a program, whatever, to lose weight, to lose fat, and you get excited about it because you think, yes, I can do it. But we forget, we forget when we jump in, is this going to be sustainable for my everyday life, for social situations, for my schedule, for what's going on with my family and all of that, right? This is the stuff to ask ourselves. And the real question, can you maintain it for the long haul? Or is it going to feel too restrictive? Because if the answer is no, then okay, we've got to explore other options that might work better for your lifestyle. So let's go ahead and let's debunk the myths, right? Let's debunk a couple of myths that I believe we have out here for intermittent fasting. Okay, number one, all right, myth. Intermittent fasting, and we've been saying this all along, it's a magic solution for weight loss, but it's not, because the truth is intermittent fasting, like I said, it just helps you control your calorie intake. It doesn't make fat loss happen faster than other methods. I mean, it could initially, right? But it's not a magic solution. Okay, the number two myth, intermittent fasting boosts the metabolism and it burns fat more efficiently. Have we heard this? The truth is, while some studies may show some minor improvements in some metabolic health, it doesn't create a magical fat burning effect, and it's not something that's long lasting. Your metabolism is largely driven by your total calorie intake and activity level, not the timing window in which you eat. So what's the takeaway here? Intermittent fasting is one approach to controlling your calorie intake, and it's not a miracle solution, but it might work for some people who enjoy that structure that it provides. Now I thought it'd be kind of cool to just lay it out here. What are the pros? What are the cons? Because I want you to think about this. If intermittent fasting is something that you're doing, or if it's something you're considering doing to lose fat, I want you to consider these pros and cons, and maybe this will help you. We're going to break down pros and cons. Should we do pros or cons first? I'm looking at my notes. Let's do the pros first. Okay. it can control your calorie intake, right? We just said limiting your eating window may naturally reduce the number of calories that you consume. Another one, potential health benefits. Some studies may suggest that intermittent fasting may improve insulin sensitivity. I can go with that. And regulation of your blood glucose level. But you can do that also with a traditional timing of your foods. And it may help you with your heart health for these same with this same approach. Also, intermittent fasting, the pros could be that it's just simple. It just has a simplicity about it. You don't necessarily have to track every meal or calorie. For some, fewer meals equals less hassle. But that's not to say, which I'm going to mention here in a few minutes, though, even though you may not be tracking, you could potentially eat more. I'll talk about that in a second. But the other pro is that it can fit into a busy schedule. If you're someone who doesn't have time to prep several meals a day, intermittent fasting may be a great option. I am a big fan of let's fuel our body throughout the day. And I will talk about that after the cons here. Because I'm not a fan for myself personally of intermittent fasting, but if it works with your lifestyle, that's what matters. Is it something you can sustain? That is the key. Okay. So here are the cons. It can feel restrictive, right? Skipping meals, limiting eating windows, they just might cause you to be frustrated. It could also make you frustrated around social events because, well, you're not in your window, so you're not allowed to eat. It feels very restrictive, like you've put these rules on yourself. The other con, and you know me, I'm all about freedom. Let's not restrict. I mean, there is a certain amount of restriction that's necessary, but let's do it in a way that feels free. Okay. Um, there's a potential for overeating, as I mentioned, right? Because some people, what happens is you've been restricted for such a long time period. Now, all of a sudden, your eating window is here and you end up eating more than you would if you were just eating regularly. The other con, it's not necessary. It is not necessary for fat loss. It absolutely is not necessary. If you're already in a calorie deficit with your regular meals, then you don't need intermittent fasting to lose fat. If you already are in a calorie deficit and things are going well for you on your regular scheduled eating, then why? Why do we need to do intermittent fasting? The other con, its impact on workout performance. This one is a big biggie, especially us women over 40 with our hormonal imbalances and shifting hormones. This is a big one, right? Because depending on when you're fasting, your energy levels could just drop, especially during a workout. And we don't want to be dropping our energy level during a workout. We want to be bringing the intensity. We're trying to lift heavy, girl. We're trying to build this brick house. So if you're training, I don't recommend training fasted, especially ladies. We don't need to be fasting and going and working out. We are really, in my educated opinion, this is creating more stress on our body. Calorie deficit is already naturally because, right, think about deficit. You are in a deficiency with your calories. Now, if you are going to go train and work out hard, well, in a fasted state, now you're adding even more stress, to your body, which is not conducive to your health, and it's not conducive to your overall well-being, fat loss, all of those things. So, what was I going to say about this? Okay, the regular scheduled eating. So, this is what I want to say. Okay, so those are the pros and the cons, but consider this, okay? Consider this when it comes to meal timing and your meal windows. Whether you choose that intermittent fasting is for you, for the long haul, for your lifestyle, and it works for you and you love it, you gotta love it, right? Because I don't know anybody that's going to do something that they're not loving and enjoying it long term. So whether you choose to do intermittent fasting or you choose a traditional meal timing approach, either way, here is my nursey advice, sciencey approach to things. Remember this: you are training your body, and your body does way better when you are in a schedule. because now when you train your body on a regular schedule, whether you eat 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, the timing matters in the sense that you will be training your body, your brain, and your body. And what I mean by you're training your body, we have hormones that trigger hunger. We have hormones that trigger satiation. You have your ghrelin and you have your leptin. Ghrelin is the hormone that tells you you're hungry. And the way that I remember this is ghrelin. It starts with like ghrelin is like a gremlin. It's like hungry gremlin. This is how you're going to remember this hormone, okay? Ghrelin is the hormone that creates that desire to eat. You are hungry. And then there's leptin. Leptin says, okay, we've had enough. Let's stop that now. Okay. Lay off. Lay off the food. Leptin, lay off. I just made that up. But no, for real, we do train our bodies. And so when we do this on a regular basis, not only are we training, your body will become used to this and your body will know that you're going to be hungry, you're going to be, you're satisfied, you're hungry. And then when you are on an eating schedule that is steady, Eddie, and you're also giving your body the nutrients that it needs, right? Optimal protein, girl, a little plug here. If you have not gotten the new protein guide that I put out, you got to get it. Check it out in the show notes. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. But if you are getting all the nutrients that your body needs and your body is trained in this way, this is where you're going to have like the optimal sense of your metabolism is going to be functioning optimally. And this is what better way for you to maintain that steady glucose level, okay? Whether you're insulin resistant, whether you are pre-diabetic, diabetic, it doesn't matter. We all need to find ways to regulate that glucose level, the sugar in our blood, like in our blood. So when we're getting optimal protein, when we're getting plenty of fiber and all of these macros balanced, then we're not going to have these crazy fluctuations in our energy levels and our hunger levels, all of this kind of stuff. Okay. So this is why I believe you got to do what works for you, whether it's the intermittent fasting or regular, traditional meal timing, whatever you want to call it, whatever timing works for you. I am not necessarily a fan of intermittent fasting. I feel like it's too restrictive. It interferes with life and things. But if it works for you, have at it, girl. It's all up to you. The most important thing, like I say, is finding a way to eat in your meal timing that is consistent. Because consistency is key across the board with anything. And it's got to be consistent if you want to maintain your health and overall well-being. So here's some questions to ask ourselves. If you're considering intermittent fasting, is it right for you? Here's some questions to ask yourself. Does limiting my eating window fit my lifestyle? Or am I going to feel restricted? Ask yourself this: can I stick with this long term? Or will I get frustrated with the constant hunger or social limitations? Will you? Ask yourself, how does intermittent fasting make me feel physically and mentally, right? Is it going to help you feel energized or is it going to help you feel drained? All right, I'm going to pause just a second, take a little swig of my drink, my awa. That was your opportunity, girl. Okay, cheers to the camera. With my big giant cup, nurses call the shots. Y'all, I've had this cup forever. You know when I got this? My friend Leslie gave this to me in the OR at Driscoll Children's Hospital. Thank you, Leslie. If you ever listen, I don't even think she probably doesn't listen, but I've had this cup ever since. I love this water cup. It's my yes, I drink. Yes, I chug the jug. But I like to pour my water into nurses call the shots cup. All right, where are we at? So those are the things to ask yourself if you're considering it. Here are some final thoughts. Okay, like I said, the research shows that intermittent fasting doesn't offer any significant advantages over traditional calorie control methods for fat loss. What matters most is creating a calorie deficit and finding a strategy that works for you in the long term and not forever. Okay, can we just get that out there? Being in a calorie deficit is not intended forever. In fact, it is in your best interest if you have been in a calorie deficit for a long time, to take a break. And I'm not saying take a break and go hog wild. Say take a break, get into maintenance for a while, let your body like recover, give it a break. Okay. So I just want to remind you, whatever you choose, you are in control. You're in control of your body. You're in control of your choices. No one else knows. Yes, I mean this. You know what's best for you better than anyone else. And this morning I was chatting back and forth in my DMs inside of Instagram, and I am always, I shouldn't be blown away by now, but sometimes I just am. Women ask me questions and I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here? There's a lot of confusing information out there on the internet, girl. And I'm just going to speak about that right now. Like, I just want you to know that there's a lot of fear mongering out there. There's a lot of BS, nonsense, trying to sell you one thing after another, supplements, all of this stuff. Nobody wants to hear that. The truth is, it just comes down to the simple basics, what our bodies were intended to eat. And the internet is just flooded with all of this BS that creates all this confusion. And should I do this? And should I do that? And here's what I want to ask. Here's what I want to ask you. If you are looking for the next supplement, or you're asking, does milk cause inflammation, or does red meat cause inflammation? I'm having inflammation. All of these things, right? Come on. You know what I'm talking about. There's tons of stuff out there trying to make you think you need something else. You don't. I want to say it's very simple. And I just want to take a moment to remind us all, we want quick fixes. Everybody wants to have that instant gratification. That's just human nature, okay? So just recognize that for what it is. But the truth will always stand. The facts and the truth are, it comes down to the basics. So ask yourself, what does your nutrition look like right now? Are you getting plenty of sleep? Optimal sleep, right? Not just plenty. Are you staying hydrated? Are you resting and recovering? Are you exercising on a routine, right? Are you managing your stress? All of these simple things, your food, your rest, your exercise, if these things aren't in place, then we got to get out of the weeds and stop complicating things. This is the stuff that has to get in place first before we start trying to make sure we have the right supplements. Like, let's just get the basics down first. I know, like, I just had to say that because I just reminded me of some DMs I was in today in my Instagram stories. And I get a little, I shouldn't say frustrated, it just irks me to know that there's so much out there and people are putting out a bunch of garbage and lies and causing so many women to think that they need that one more thing. They need to buy one more supplement. That's what they need. And it's just furthest thing from the truth. So I want to encourage you, okay, experiment. If intermittent fasting is for you, why not give it a try if you want to? I'm not saying do it. It's up to you. Experiment with it. Just like anything. Just make it an experiment. Even if you decide, you know what, I want to start tracking my calories and my protein, but I'm scared I'm going to mess up. Well, how about just do an experiment? That's just fear of failure. And fear of failure is always going to keep people stuck. We just got to take it on and do it in a way where it's just an experiment, right? And an experiment, we know experiments are not meant to be perfect. They're not meant to come out with success. They're meant to experiment, trial and error, collecting the data, improving, right? That's what the experiment is all about. So if you want to give this a try, intermittent fasting, see it. Find out if it works for your lifestyle. There is no right or wrong way. There's no right or wrong way as long as you're moving forward with consistency. Okay. And that's pretty much everything that I had to say today. And I want to end by, again, just excited and to celebrate that this is 3 years going. And I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate you. And if Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar, that girl, if she's helped you in any way at all these past 3 years in this podcast, and you have never left a review or some stars or shared a podcast episode with a friend or someone who needs to hear it? Would you do that in celebration of our 3-year anniversary? Boop, boop, boop. And check out the show notes and make sure you don't miss out on anything going on. The big deal right now that I am pushing, because too many women are not getting optimal protein. And this is key. If you want to, when you're trying to lose fat, you better darn well make sure you're getting plenty optimal protein to maintain your current muscle mass. Otherwise, girl, if you're dieting, you will be losing muscle mass. And here's the thing, we don't need to lose any more muscle mass because we are naturally losing muscle mass as we age. So I'm pushing my what is this thing called? My 30-day challenge for busy women over 40, which includes my 30-day strength challenge, along with my comprehensive Rockstar protein guide. You got to get this. It's in the show notes. Do not miss out on this. You will be so thankful that you grabbed it. It's completely free. And you'll get some emails from me and some encouraging motivational videos along the way. And I just want you to grab this. You're going to love it. You're going to learn some things. I'm amazed. I've gotten so much great feedback already. So many women are like, wow, there's so much in here. This is incredible. So this is my gift to you. Check it out. I don't want to see you struggling anymore, and you're going to start feeling better very quickly when you start getting optimal protein, start getting some strength training in, building some muscle. Watch how your energy level increases. Watch how your stamina increases. Watch how your confidence increases, girl, because getting that protein in, those are the building blocks of the muscle. Yes, we like to call those the bricks, right? Because we're building our brick house, girl. So I think that's it. I will not hold you any longer. Just want you to know that I love you, and I want you to keep on rocking your fitness, stay strong, and rock on.